Guys, what were we going to talk about tonight? Because actually, I think Jill's thinking we've given up on it altogether, but actually,
do you know what? I think it is something that has been quite controversial. Our topic for tonight is Genie and Genie Plus.
Yeah.
Why
is it controversial, Ben?
Because everyone wants this back.
Yes.
No.
What was wrong with it?
I would still love that. I'm going to start on this because if I had a mini rant earlier, I'm going to have a
soapbox.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah. Right, as someone who actually made completely full use out of the old paper fast passes, right? I know I had to be in the park for park opening, but you could absolutely max it out. You could do a complete holiday, and this is when my kids were younger. It's actually when I actually think my kids probably got pushed a little bit too far in trying to stay in the park.
You do the Toy Story Mania walk as well. It's like there's that just walk. You just where you've got the cast member just looking at you going, walk slower. You need to walk, not run.
With your elbows out. So can deal with that. I can deal with the whole notion of Fastpass Plus was actually a cracking use of technology, a cracking use of actually allowing families to choose the time of the day that they wanted a fast pass. I thought that was a really good step in the right direction. We also found a way of making Fastpass Plus work for us because obviously you had the time in advance that you could actually you could book it. And
it was that balance, wasn't it, between how many?
Yeah, and this has kind of taken off, and I think everyone's gone on the other side of this is because they're not quite understood exactly what Genie is all about. Genie is very similar to an extent to Fastpass Plus. However, there is a paid-for option. The paid-for option is where I think the majority of people sort of detach themselves and go, no, this isn't right. It isn't Disney. It isn't what we have been brought up on for so many years, and it goes against that whole magical experience of being in the park and actually being able to choose that I want to be on something unless you pay for it. And it still rankles with me. It really, really does rankle with me as the fact that it's then going to, in a way, it's sort of aligning itself more with the Universal model, which again has a varying. It depends on what day of the week you want to go, which week of the year you go.
This all started a couple of years ago when Disney changed their ticketing, when they changed their tickets from a standard price for the park to sort of seasonally, daily. It's like, okay, a Friday be more expensive than going on the Monday, and which we all probably will agree. There are a lot of people that visit Walt Disney World on an average day.
Yeah.
And I think capacity works in this. And I think there's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes. And I'm working in IT, I'm quite data driven. So I can see certain aspects of Genie that over time will evolve and will get better. But the downside to it, a lot of people are hesitant to use it. So without all of that data and information, it's not going to progress as the way as people might want it to. Or is it intended to?
And a lot of that information they already had from your magic bands. They knew exactly where you were going to go in the park. They really did sort of track you. And I know from experience, they knew where you'd been for the whole of a day within a park.
Well, this is the thing. You use the My Disney Experience app. You book your reservation. They know where you're going to be. You tap your magic band to buy something in a shop. They know where you are. They know how much you've spent. Especially when you're charging into a room. So there is a lot of information. And we had a good experience, I'd say, with Genie and Genie Plus because we thought we're going to ignore what we knew with Fastpass Plus and go at it completely differently.
Genie Plus itself, the paid-for version, is pretty much a digital version of the paper Fastpass, except you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
In that you get up early, you get your first ticket, and then either 2 hours later or once you've used that first
you're entitled to
you get your next one, or there's a 2 hour gap.
Yeah. But the downside of that, I don't want to get up early on my holiday.
Yeah.
I liked the frustration for me when this got announced was they're taking away my 60-day advantage from staying on site. Yes, I get a 2-hour advantage now at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the day.
But now I have to be up
But
at
now
7
I have to
a.m.
be focusing at breakfast. That instead of enjoying my breakfast set Topolinos with characters and everything, that I'm on my phone booking the reservations for later in that day. It just doesn't fit. It's probably okay for if you're locals, but you're going to spend sort of $15 a day to get select attractions. From our experience, we found the individual lightning lane, which is another part of Genie,
and then
which
there's
isn't
that.
just Genie Plus. You've got the three aspects. You've got Genie, which is the free bit, which can help you. What we'll do? I've got this little video. I'm going to see how well this is going to work. So I might just take the chat off for a second.
Pause and restart the video.
Okay. Hope everyone can see. So yeah.
So this is a normal Genie. This is normal Genie, the non-paid for.
And if your eyesight's really good, I was recording this at 5 a.m. in the morning, so I was up early on that day.
It was like the second day. Choose your day,
And
your
you choose your
park.
party, you choose your park, where you're going. The frustrating thing about choosing the park is you've already had to choose your park reservation. So it doesn't all... You have to go in and choose, again, what it is, even though I think you should already know, because it should know that you've already got that reservation.
It would link with your park reservations.
But that's just something should easily be able to change. Because I don't think it's yet designed as much for park hopping. You can use it for park hopping later in the day. But yeah, it is. This is the free one, so you can just go and choose what attractions you might be interested in. This is normally what we would have done 60 days before in the old system. Wrote a list, thinking, okay, what are my must-dos? What do I want to do? Choose your attractions, choose your entertainment, choose your dining. The whole point of it is like I chose Remy, which was difficult to do at 5 a.m. in the morning because...
Did Turtle Talk with Crash this year?
And it doesn't let you choose too many, so you can't choose, I want to do everything. Yeah. Because it can't recommend everything.
It's I can't remember the maximum amount of that you can choose.
I just kept ticking stuff that seemed interesting until it told me I couldn't choose anymore.
It's also nice to see that Voices of Liberty have got on that list as well, which is also a lovely reopening as well, just in passing. You know?
Yeah. And then you get the next bit, which is interests. So this is where it's not specific on attractions. It's like, okay, are you a fan of fireworks? Are you a fan of princesses?
Which, to be fair, for some parks, some of those choices are not applicable.
I have to admit, you can't really choose fireworks within the Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to choose Pixar when you're anywhere but Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
Maybe Magic Kingdom.
So you get the options here for your height requirements, your accessibility. So it will then, when you can choose, this is the virtual queue, because we chose Remy's Road Adventure. It says that I had to come back on the app at 7 o'clock to see if I can get the slot, and which luckily on that day...
Spoiler alert, we did.
We did. So that was the free Genie. This is the bit where it now tells you can enhance your day buying Genie Plus for $15 a day.
Yeah.
So it's there if you want it, and I think there are certain parks where I think it would be useful. We used it in Magic Kingdom because we thought that would get, when you think of the attractions, that's going to get you sort of your best
on
option.
the most things.
And once you've done that, you've got your tip board and in My Day at the top, so you can see what it's going to recommend. But I filled this in before 7 a.m. and it didn't update until 7 a.m. what my selections were once it fitted in where my slot was for Remy.
Okay.
So
yeah, the free version of just the normal Genie is...
I think it's really accurate. How many times that we would actually...
Very accurate, actually. The wait time section of it.
Okay.
And the predicted wait times.
And telling you when to go back. And it's like, okay, here's your wait times. You should go and do this here. You should do that then. It actually works really well. So even just using the free bit of it, I think that's a good benefit for people to... I know there's a lot of people on social media and people who've come across going, I'm never going to use it, it's paid for. It's like, there is a free aspect to it. As with most things now, there's a free bit, but they tell you at the end that if you want more, you've got to pay for it.
it's that pushing you towards the paid for bit. Now, as and that's the bit I have an issue with. I put my cards on the table many times about that. The one thing I would also add is the fact that they've got a few years worth of experience of what the old Magic Bands actually predicted of where people would go in the pack. So they basically bled the IT system dry. And I was looking at you as you're clicking on each of those ones. I was thinking, at which moment does my mobile phone just explode with just the thought of just like, I've clicked that Disney got.
See, I think what would be interesting going forward in development of Genie would be what they could do is, I like the 60 days benefit of being on site. I like to plan. I like to know what's happening, because then it's okay. Why can't they extend this when the data gets to a point that they are happy that they can predict what's going to happen in 60 days? Why can't they do that? Because there's a lot of perks that have been taken off staying on site. Because we used to have the free Magic Band, we used to have the 60 days
extra magic hours, morning and evening, every day,
regardless of resort,
Free
parking. And it's one of those things.
Don't get me started on that one.
No, that's our Wednesday on its own. But yeah, it is one of those ones that's quite. I just want to see what the end result is, apart from Disney getting more money out of it, because I know that's where a lot of people. It is where it is at the minute.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Now, the paid for Disney Plus.
That's true. Let me get the
Would
I'm very much in the old camp. Everybody would know that. I loved the paper fast passes. I loved the fact that, and I think Claire mentioned this either in the podcast or on one of the Wednesday shows. I love the fact that if you had an extra fast pass that you hadn't used, you could actually share just that little bit of magic.
Yeah.
And actually find a family as you're exiting the park, as they're entering, and you could actually give them. Look, don't if you like Big Thunder Mountain, but we've got these. Go and enjoy. And there was something. Yeah. There was some form of share.
We did that in Disneyland Paris.
So we did that in Disneyland Paris, and the couple we gave our tickets to looked at us like we'd grown an extra head. So
what do you mean you're giving me something for free? It's just, but it was just nice to just sprinkle a bit of magic.
Take them so you don't have to stand in the hour-long wait.
Just want to answer Gumpy Git's question. Yes, you can park up. It's at 2:00 every day. You just go on the app. You can see if there's availability. We never struggled with any.
No.
Sort of
we didn't do a whole lot of park hopping on our last trip, actually.
That's true. But it was quite easy to do. You go on the app and you can see if there's availability. I think the only trouble you'd probably have is if it's like around Christmas and there might be capacity limits. But
then can I ask as well, because this goes back to the park reservation for that particular day. If you get to 2:00, you've had a park reservation in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Do you then need to get a reservation for elsewhere, or is it just a possibility?
No, it's just a possibility. At 2:00, all parks are open until unless they say that they're closing.
So they're expecting that fluidity between guests who are already spread across 4 parks, where probably there'd be about 3 to 5%, I would imagine, would decide that they're going to park up. Okay.
Yeah. We didn't, but I think that's maybe because we knew that if we're in a park by 2:00, I might as well stay in the park and carry on.
Yeah.
It's that difficult one. It's like we'd either go Disney Springs or we'd do. But going back to Genie, using the paid for, we did it once, and
we picked the wrong day.
Yeah. And you're still paying the mortgage off as a result.
We did pick the wrong day. We picked a day that we had a dessert party booked and a lunch booked. If I was doing it again, I'd make sure I didn't have either of those and I was going quick service, just so I could.
So you can max out on that.
Max them out, max out the times.
We did quite well actually, I think, with what we did, but
got to a certain point of the day when the return times were
when our dessert party was.
Yeah, 4
so it's like we
hours
couldn't get
in the future.
Okay.
So, but that was more of a planning thing of like, okay, if we have a day that's free. We actually didn't book the reservation for food until we were in the park either. Yeah. So we didn't know when that was going to be. So That was quite good. We had a good meal. But it was good. We managed to have
How many did we get?
4 or 5. I'm trying to think, 4 or 5 attractions. I think that through Genie Plus, but a lot of it gave us the flexibility. We booked it a bit like with Fastpass. You then know when your next one is.
Yeah.
Once you've booked it, you then know, okay, what can I fill this time with? So you then look at attractions. You look at and
you build your day around.
yeah, and then the app when you go into it tells you what it recommends at that time. Sometimes it was annoying because no, I don't want to go and do this show. No, I don't want to go and do that again. It's no, I'm not going to Small World. No, but it's one of those things. It's nice to be told, especially if it's fun. I think Disney have got a difficult thing trying to find that balance because you're going to have a lot of new people that have never been to Walt Disney World before, don't know what these attractions are. They're going to. It's a good thing they can open the app and go. From my recommendations of choosing princesses, pirates, and fireworks, it can help them choose a day instead of them just going, "Oh, that's got a long queue. That's got a long queue." But actually, the queues, even though I know Disney are saying they're probably not inflated. They are
10-15 minutes.
more than I think what they are. Every time we did a queue,
a lot of them.
Big Thunder was always posted 45 to 60. It was about half an hour every time. So
The one thing I will say though is, you said we said we did about 5 attractions on our Disney Plus day. We also managed to do 5 attractions
in a row
on the extra Magic Evening hours
yeah.
that were available for Magic Kingdom in about an hour.
Yeah.
So it's if you stay at a deluxe resort and you get access to extra evening hours, use them. Actually, doing that is much better, I find, than
Yeah.
And then also we went a couple of days later. We went to Epcot. And it was raining, so you know what happens in most parks. Everyone disappears. We did 4 or 5 attractions in an hour.
Now
Later in the evening.
And that was without Genie Plus.
That was without Genie Plus, and that was without the magic hours.
So
So it's completely dependent on the day.
so intriguing now, isn't it? Because actually, you know, we're being told and you're being pushed towards this. We've had the whole of the Fastpass queue sort of removed, and it's basically now it goes back to, I still think it's like the Universal one, you know, where you basically you're walking past everyone who's in the standby queue and you're going, hey, it's just like I'll avoid me sort of like, because actually you know that you're getting on the ride dead quick. I can think of back when Men in Black opened in Universal, we went and it was just like there was like hours worth of queues and we were just like, oh, we paid for that.
In they go. I booked the hotel, it gets it included. There you go, it's done.
And it is pretty much like
it's a bit like
Universal,
I have to
except
the lightning lane, which is the queue you get in. There are 2 different parts of it. So you've got the one if you pay $15 a day, or you can buy some attractions. You aren't included in that, and you have to pay them individually. So they're like Flight of Passage, Rise of the Resistance.
Your e-ticket attractions.
But one thing I would do, we've said this for our next trip, we're not going to go Genie Plus.
No.
It's not worth it for us. I will rather pay $15 to ride Rise of the Resistance than I would for a whole day of Genie Plus.
I think I can understand the theory behind that.
Because if I was to spend $15 a day for both of us, that's $30 every day in each park, so for the whole trip. I don't think I would get the benefit out of it. I really don't think I would.
But if you cut your queue time for Rise and you're then able to ride it quite quickly, it opens up the rest of your day for the park, and you're likely to be able to get a lot more time in the park. I can see you thinking there, right?
And from a UK perspective now, there's an add-on for if you've got the 2022 tickets, you can add Genie Plus on for $6.99 a day, but you have to add it on every day of your trip. You can't pick and choose each day. So we would say work out when you might want to do it and do the $15 a day on whenever you want to. Pick and choose. It's not needed for every day of your trip.
It's not needed for every park either. I mean, Epcot and Animal Kingdom probably have the least amount of Genie Plus available attractions.
And it's different because we book 2-week trips.
But especially
We're not going for 4 days. We've got 2 weeks to fit Rise of Resistance in or other attractions.
if it's not Flight of Passage,
Exactly. And that's the one that you want,
that,
isn't it?
and actually, it's really going to be an absolute pain in the backside for
Are
me.
you really going to pay $15 a day to do tough? It's tough to be a bug.
Yeah.
And also, depends what time of the day you get there.
Pay the $8 for Flight of Passage.
Because in the morning, remember it's a full day. So if you don't get to the park till like 3-4 in the afternoon because you're having a lazy day or gone shopping in the morning, and it starts from the day and resets at midnight.
Yeah.
So all you could do, get to Animal Kingdom at 4 o'clock, see what's available. Oh, it's tough to be a bug. You've paid $15 per person to do that. So I personally would say don't go for the £7 a day one if you've got a UK ticket.
Yeah.
Wait till you're there and buy individually. And
But that's £7 per person.
Yeah.
For whole of trip. So if you're on a 3-week ticket, that's a hell of a lot of money. Yeah. And it's just the whole maths of that is just completely wrong.
It's they're pricing it in the way that it's cheaper than $15 a day, but you don't need it every day.
No.
And I think that's where you need to. It goes back to that planning side of it. And how
many
you do
times am I going to use this?
I've got to say, guys, this for me is so important because you guys have actually been there. You've actually experienced it. You've bought it. I haven't. I'm sat in the UK. I'm still looking at the next Disney trip. I'm still deciding exactly what do I do without Fastpass because it's something that I'd actually used and it's something I actually felt I got maximum value out of. I would never deny that. I'm looking at this and I'm looking at what you're saying to me tonight and I'm thinking this is so useful in actually putting together exactly where my next trip's going to be. I know Grumpy Old Git's actually in the chat as well, thinking about different things as well. They've got a trip booked. This is something I think that is so important that people actually. I didn't know until you said that they're going to charge you £7.
Yeah.
From a UK perspective.
So make sure you get the ticket without Genie Plus because it's attractive because I think it works out on a 14-day ticket about £100 more. But then it's like, okay, it's £100, but then it's like, okay, but
that's per person.
That's per person.
If you're a family of 4, that's an extra £400.
But that doesn't include Rise, The Resistance, Flight of Passage, Space Mountain,
Seven Dwarfs, Everest, Mickey and Minnie's.
They're the ones that were booked on the old Fastpass. They're the ones I used Fastpass for because they were the ones that they were for a whole family. Yeah. They were the ones that were on the list of like. You'd want to go and do Space Mountain. You'd want to go. Certainly, you want to go and do Rise. You'd certainly want to go and do Flight of Passage, and obviously Ratatouille as well. You've actually got so much there that's so missed out by Genie, and
I think they're as with everything. We got used to the Fastpass system on its quirks and how to be awake at 5 a.m. in the morning to book.
Yeah.
And certain things and how you'd book and choose where what works for you. You've got to work out what fits into your trip because I think for us, I'd rather pay $15 or $8 or $7 for individual attractions that I know are my must-dos, and that's what I would budget for a trip, not Genie Plus, because you do get a couple of extra benefits of Genie Plus. You do get the audio and the video things, which we didn't use. We didn't see them as a benefit. I think they're just an additional tool.
They're just there if you're bored for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. I'd think about doing Disney Plus again. That's what I meant. Genie Plus again. Only if it got to the last couple of days of our trips and we hadn't done hardly anything that we wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a really good call as well, isn't it?
And the best
if
thing...
If you're on a longer trip, I'd wait.
When they announced
few days.
I was quite happy that they announced it for Rise to Resistance because that was our big thing of the trip.
Yeah.
Because we'd just missed out by about a month in 2019 that we didn't get to ride it. So by knowing that worst case scenario I can pay $15 and we're going to travel all the way and ride it, than get thrown out of a boarding queue at 7 a.m. in the morning because the app didn't work properly. But one thing, the app works better. Now it's then when we're out there, we didn't have any issues with it crashing or it was amazing, really was.
And that's maybe another thing as well, Ben, and that's maybe looking at where Disney's IT. I'd like to think, I know I've been very critical of it in the past. Maybe there is that amalgamation of systems, and maybe it's now a sense where they've actually got it to a case where so much is interlinked that it can do it. It's thank you, Neil and Karen.
We live to serve.
Yeah. But if anyone has any questions, just send us a DM, send us a message. We'll happily chat you through it. It's the problem is you type in Disney Genie on Google trying to get an explanation, and it's difficult because it's I'm trying to be impartial, but also it's something that we're all passionate about because it's so. Yeah, but no, we've got so used to being what Fastpass Plus was, and we knew the system inside out.
Yeah.
This is so new,
back to front,
and a lot of us haven't yet been there to experience it.
Yeah.
And we've only done it for one day because I have to admit I was satisfied with the fares we did on a trip.
Yeah.
The queue times that were long, given an average November, but the actual queue times weren't.
And that's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't be scared by what looks like a long queue. They move quickly. They don't space you out like it did during when they first reopened, but the queues look like they do. They don't make the full use of the queue, so it's spilling out everywhere, which makes you think the queue's longer.
And that goes back to the fact that previously, especially the paper version was quite easily managed because there was a set amount of Fastpass tickets for the day, and that was it. With Fastpass Plus, they kind of spaced out, and then particularly in Magic Kingdom, if it rained, you'd then find that the Fastpass queue would be absolutely done for the rest of the day. And if you were in standby, you could actually be stood for 2 or 3 hours for certain rides, not being actually given any capacity because they were trying to get a lot of the Fastpass Plus through the whole system.
Yep.
I reckon we're in and I'm going.
I think Disney have actually said that there won't ever be a ride that ever hits capacity. So there will always be the option to pay for the attraction to ride. There will always be. So whether you paid for it, but how long is that? How long will that lightning lane be?
I will say, because you saying that's just made me think. When a ride does go tech or it does go down for one reason or another, we had this was our first Fastpass. Keep calling it Fastpass. Our first Genie Plus of the day was Splash Mountain, and it went tech. It didn't open.
Yeah.
So you get what is essentially an open,
which was
Genie Plus.
The same as the old one, multiple experience.
Yeah, multiple experience attraction, so you can go on anything.
But the bonus was it then let you go back on it later as well.
Yes.
Right,
so it wasn't like the old one where once you've used it, it then doesn't let you on that one at a later point because the problem with the Fastpass Plus system was that it would then block you for the rest of the day going back on that attraction. Yeah. And I know Genie Plus only lets you use one per day, but because it went tech, it lets you use it again. It doesn't count it as one that you've used.
Okay. All right.
So there was some.
I can understand it. I think as well, and I think this is why this is such a worthwhile conversation because you guys have done it and you've actually been through it, and actually I think there's a load of people at home who are actually just already looking at the numbers involved in this and actually thinking, right, that makes a little bit more sense. It makes it certainly for me.
Yeah.
And I know we've discussed it privately and stuff. I have a little bit more knowledge in which I can now go and try and plan a park day.
Yeah.
I still feel a little bit unsure about the park reservation system because I think that is something I know the Watsons had mentioned in the chat as well about the 3-week ticket not being available. And again, that's sort of pushing people towards the American ticketing situation. Yeah. What I was going to say, because I think we started this off talking about an awful lot of sort of Americans' tickets and it being influenced. And a lot of accountants who are probably sat for Disney thinking how we can max it out. They're not particularly thinking about the British market at all at the moment. They're just trying to get a lot of people.
That's where that add-on for £7 come in, because it's like, we've got people from the UK that can now come back here.
Yeah,
they're not going to be wanting to pay £15 a day.
But there's another one as well where for people who are Florida resident, there is actually from yesterday they've started a two-day ticket for $149, which is only valid Monday to Friday up until Easter, with a block out on the 14th to the 18th of March, and it's just basically looking at trying to get locals in and trying to keep that whole. I can totally understand,
because you still, I don't get it at the minute that you still can't get an annual pass.
Yeah. They just need.
They paused it before Christmas because of capacities, and it hasn't yet been reinstated. And I'm surprised that instead of a new ticket offer, that they didn't just put the annual passes back on sale. Because there's lots of people that I know that have recently moved to Florida, and it's like they now can't get an annual pass.
Yeah.
And it seems silly that they have to spend $120 a day. They want to go to the Magic Kingdom.
But why? And you can. That's why Disney are doing it. It's just like it's trying to get cash. They, like it or not, and this sounds a really bizarre thing to say, but within the environment that we're actually living, Disney is still needing an instant cash flow before the end of the financial year in order to ensure that, and I could pretty much imagine once we get I think it's the Disney earnings call is due in about
March the 9th, I think.
Once we get that out of the way, then I think we'll probably end up seeing annual passes coming back, but they're just looking at trying to get as much money and liquid money into the company just now, because with an annual pass you put the money out there, and they've no real control about exactly what happens with it. They want to have control. It's like a 3-day ticket. That 3-day ticket is going to be used by April. That's fine. We can sort that out and then move on. It from a business perspective, you can. It pains me to say it in some ways. You can understand. From a tourist perspective and from a Disney fan perspective, it goes against everything that we've really grown to love and grown to enjoy about being, having that choice, and I think that's the biggest thing. I'm not even going to go there, grumpy old git, with that.
You never know. Bob Chapek apparently might be a caretaker CEO.
I've that'd be another half an hour show. Just having
only half an hour. But
and
think what else we've got coming from Disney this year. Like we spoke last week, there's so much stuff that Disney have got in the pipeline that we want Disney to have more money so they can get on with Tron, so Guardians can finish, so new stuff can happen. Because we've all been through a pandemic, we're still going through it, and from a maybe that might be a Wednesday show. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll do.
Who do we think will be the new CEO of Walt Disney World?
Well, the thing is, our timing of the Wednesday show isn't right for that day because.
Hang on a second. Wait a minute. I'll get my phone. There we go. Yeah, I'm all right. I'll start it off now. Here, Walt Disney World. Because I could do a better bloody job than Bob Paycheck. That's it. That's the bit that really annoys me. It's just.
Put me in charge for a week. I'd see what happens.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
It's Rumpelstiltskin.
John, have you seen this?
I think I might start calling you Mr. Gold.
I'm not going to bite. I really am. Actually, it's probably worthy of a show all of its own, and I think
I think we should do like we've said. I think recently we should do like an armchair Imagineering sort of. If we were in charge of Disney, what would we do?
Yeah, and
I think that would be be quite good.
I think it's well better. I think we mentioned this. I think it's Grumpy Old gets just. Okay,
there we go. Grumpy Old is Bob Chapek.
Yeah. I think the other one as well that we did mention, and we actually, I've just made the train of thoughts totally gone. And we were talking about it last week, and it was talking about CEOs, talking about exactly where you see the parks going, and yeah, it's just everybody has got their own opinion, and everybody's got a different slant on exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this guy has taken over a company that we love. He doesn't appear.
It didn't go well the first few times because as soon as he took over, the Small World clock broke and Jungle Cruise sank.
And then there was also Splash Mountain sinking as well. Wasn't there? It was just like there's a bit of a clue there, the clue in there as to exactly where it was going. I just feel that I think there's so many people who love Disney. I think we all recognise that these are trying times, and actually.
Fastpass evolved into Fastpass Plus, so Genie Plus can evolve into something else down the line. Something will change, and also if people are going to the parks and paying for it, why would Disney change?
I think as well, Ben, and don't get me wrong, because actually I'm as much as very much down the line of being historical Disney and yearning for holidays, from 10 odd years ago. Yeah, change has to happen, and if you're not prepared to accept that every park has to evolve, every hotel has to evolve, the water parks need to evolve. It can't afford to stand still, because actually it's a massively competitive market that they're within, and it needs to move on. I want to see. I would love to see so much of what was announced in that 2019 D23.
Yeah.
Was it 2019? It must have been 2019.
2019. It was our fifth podcast. We discussed that.
But some of the things that were so exciting, and we knew were going to be expensive. We knew they were going to be expensive. I would love to see as much of that come to fruition first before the company moves on and tries to change. We all know what I'd love to see a nighttime parade back in Magic Kingdom.
What I want is them to announce these things and put dates on them. Yeah. So we can hold them accountable to when they're going to open.
Yeah. I'm with the grumpy old git there. I think without being political, but you've nailed it there, mate. I tell you, that's exactly what it is, and that's as much as you're sort of treading on eggshells as well as what's announced and what is said. And until that railroad rides once again around Magic Kingdom,
I don't think that'll be much longer. I really don't. As soon as Tron is,
but I think that to me is the sign of recovery of the park, because what was really apparent is the fact that once the railroad disappeared, there hadn't been that whole thing of bother. This is going to take a whole lot of time, but those trains have been really offline for so long.
And I'll tell you what, they sound an awful lot like the horn on the ferry boat, because in Magic Kingdom I thought, wait, that sounds like the train, and no, it isn't. It's the Liberty Bell. Yeah, it's just missing that sound, missing that atmosphere.
It's been so long since we've heard them, we got very confused.
It's something that you miss.
Yeah, it is. It is massively. Certainly on our last trip in 2019, that was something that, whilst you're taking photographs of the Tron ride being constructed,
you know what's missing and what's not happening.
It's just there. It really is. Patricia. So we're going to have to carry on for another hour. Just have a chat to Patricia for another hour.
Maybe actually, I just thought in March we'll have that week where there's only a 4-hour time difference. So maybe we could go for a longer show, or maybe not.
Either that, or we could have like.
Or do we start an hour later? I'm not sure.
I
want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, and I'm guessing YouTube's been quite stable because no one's commented saying that they've been chucked out.
This is true,
and that's why we're trying this out. And as much as it's a pain in the bottom.
Yep.
I think we're trying to we're trying to understand exactly why these issues keep happening. If it is a Facebook thing, then okay, we'll work around it. Yeah. Thank you very much to YouTube tonight, because actually it has been completely stable and the chat's been stable. And I know we probably haven't had as many people watching us tonight as we do generally.
Some people watch on Facebook, some people watch on YouTube. So make sure that anyone who's watching tonight, make sure you are following us on Facebook so you can watch us next week at the same time. And subscribe on YouTube, because then you'll get the notification anytime we go live.
Just in case it doesn't work next week.
You never know. But yeah, if like 5 minutes in,
jump over to YouTube.
Positivity for next week.
We have a backup.
Yeah, it really is.
I don't trust it.
I think that's a good one. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. But we will be back.
I know.
We will.
And as we mentioned
Sorry.
ages ago, there you go, Becca.
Actually, I know something we haven't mentioned, which I thought we might as well say that. I want to say thank you for everyone that has subscribed to us on YouTube, because over the weekend we went over 500 subscribers.
Woo.
So I'm hoping anyone that's in the chat now has subscribed. If not, after the show tonight, hit that subscribe button and get us closer to 1,000. I can't believe saying that. That's just
That's the next goal.
That's weird.
And I think all of us are just very much of an opinion that, you know, as much as we've never been about numbers and things like that, to actually get to that stage and have that, for us, it sort of took our breath away, and it's so appreciated. All your comments tonight, always appreciated. And if you're watching on the catch up because you missed us on Facebook, then join us in the Wafflers Arms. Come and have a chat to us. Give us the feedback. We're desperately seeking a bit of feedback about this as to where we can actually make the best use of our Wednesday shows. Yeah. But like I say, I think Facebook have done us proud tonight, because it's actually we've stuck there and we've been able to waffle for ages.
I know.
We have.
It's because Claire's not here saying that we've got to finish.
Claire would still be going on about Disney Plus. She'd be wanting to plan the next trip. She'd be wanting to find the details as to.
Actually, that's going to be interesting. Claire's got a short 5-day trip.
Yeah.
So would actually a short trip benefit of it? But actually, or are you best just going and just enjoying the 5 days?
Hey, that's a good call. Yeah. Hey, do you know? We're on to something. There we go.
Yeah.
So
Claire needs to vlog her Genie experiences when she's out there.
If you thought Genie Plus was a one-off show tonight, don't worry, it's coming back later in the year.
Yep.
Patricia, thank you for your lovely comment. I really appreciate it. We are all a true family, and I think that is something that I think we've all learned so much.
John's the crazy uncle.
Yeah, but it's that thing that, you know, whereas you guys have been across, you've met so many of our friends across the pond, which is such a lovely feeling. We're stuck. I've been stuck here, but I feel so close to so many people that, you know, it's only talking on a Wednesday night and on a podcast can actually bring you closer to people you've never met, and it's lovely.
I know.
Really.
It's mad.
I can't wait to on our next trip. We're going to meet more people, and including our next guest on our podcast, Katie.
We will.
Yeah.
And I've got to eventually go into the Rose and Crown, where I've never
She's
been.
going to lead me astray in that Rose and Crown, you know. That's it. I could quite imagine that's going to be a bit of a I'm well prepared for that.
July, yep, not long.
Yeah, I'll do it.
May.
6 months today.
Pick one.
I know. I'm so tempted.
I think there's just one thing left to say.
As always.
And it says on your t-shirt. Wait.
It's on the t-shirt.
Waffle on.
Waffle on.